Right, so when I was agreeing what we would talk about, we started with a title for this, which is What Isn't Working in Corporate Venture Investing. And I thought, oh my God, none of you are going to admit to what isn't working, are you? That'd be like commercial suicide. So we can't do that. So I'm going to try and frame and shape this conversation to a point where we can get you all talking about the topic. So please could you tell me how many of you are running or involved in corporate venturing units in this room? Just a hand up so I can have a quick scan. A few of you over there, a few of you over there. Right, anyone who's not put their hand up, can you shout out? Are you an accountant, a lawyer? Who are you? Could somebody just shout out a couple of things so I know who my audience is, who I'm talking to? Sorry, what?
Venture capitalists.
Venture capitalists, right, anything else?
Lawyer.
Lawyer? Any accountants in the room? No, so the rest of you are just administrators doing filing? No? No? Oh, somebody said he's doing the filing. Was that you, sir? No, you put your hand up when I said people just doing the filing. Is that your job?
I didn't.
Okay, all right, good. Good. All right, okay. So it's lovely to meet you all. So let's start with, can we have a quick shout out? What do you love about your job? Who loves hanging out with all their colleagues? Everyone's hands up. Yes, yes. No, even some of you don't like your colleagues. This is quite worrying. Okay, so you like your colleagues, and do you think your physical environment for doing your jobs is really great? Are you all working from home, or are you coming into the office? Who's working from home? Few working. Who's working in the office every day? Few more, and some of you aren't working from home or working in the office. So this is getting a more and more interesting group. Okay, so in terms of things that I think are really frustrating about working in this world, I'm not directly in corporate finance, but I am in and around investing. I find it really frustrating that I can't tell every day what my portfolio is worth. How many of you can tell every day what the current value of your portfolio is? Hands up, please. Do any of you care about that issue? How many of you would like to have the Zoopla of investing where you could every day look at what your portfolio is worth? Would anyone like that? It's one person. There's somebody like it. Another person? Oh, look, the hands are beginning to go up, but I still need more. So there's possibly some interest in something that could make corporate venturing work better, would be knowing what your portfolio is worth every single day. Do we think that would be a good thing, or are people indifferent? Why don't we have hands up? Who would definitely think that would be a useful way of making their job more productive, more useful, more interesting if every day they had a price? One. I like this gentleman. He's being very enthusiastic. Hello. Another one over here. A few more maybe. Okay, so that's something. What about deal flow? How many of you are inundated with potential investment opportunities, far more than you can possibly cope with? None of you? I thought this, you see, as a gentleman, sort of, so you've got great so and the rest of you don't have a problem with having to have too much deal flow. You've got the perfect mix, is that right?
Too much.
Too much. First part, great. Too much deal flow. You said maybe too much. This lady is now saying, well, it's a bit of an auction here to have a boast about who's got the most deal flow. Who's got the most deal flow? This lady. You? You've got some? Okay. So tell me what it's like having too much deal flow. What problems does it cause? A good problem.
It's a good problem. I don't complain about it.
So, but is there a point at which it becomes, so how do you then process? Because you said you were sort of saying great to too much, but how do you process? If I suddenly said, right, I can give you 10 times the deal flow, would you still be happy?
I would. I mean, listen, you just kind of figure out which deals fit into the aperture of what you're looking at really fast, and then double click on the ones that actually matter.
So if we just try and, because I'm trying to play this game to help us really refine what the issue is. So if I suddenly gave you 10 times the deal flow, you'd be really keen to go more and more and more. That's great, more choice. I get that. Yeah. But you couldn't put the same amount of time into every single one, could you? Because you've got to process it. You'd either need more people or more tech to process. What would you do to address the issue that 10 times more deal flow, whilst being a good thing, creates different issues?
Yeah, I don't know if it's pretty easy to start filtering based on a set of criteria that you can put together and get to the ones that actually matter. So I don't think having 10x the deal flow would be a bad problem. I think it would be more of a good problem.
So, but would it be good for you if you had some sort of bit of tech that helped you filter better?
And we do. And we'll continuously have more that'll let us filter more.
Interesting. So would you like to share a bit, or is it your secret sauce that you can't tell anyone?
It's not secret sauce at all. I mean, part of the tech that you have is a set of questions that are derived from the problems that you have that you're trying to solve. And so, if we think about a company and the problems that are of a certain priority in the company, you use that as a filter to then go against the companies that are coming to you. And from that, you can very easily get to, okay, here's a set of questions that we're going to rattle off to you to see if it makes sense before we even have a proper conversation with that company, right? We can go to the websites, we can ask them to send us a descriptor and very easily summarize that to figure out what the company actually does.
And are you finding that if you were to, you're on a certain track of what you want, there's a lot of deal flow coming in, so by definition, most of it probably isn't suitable, I would argue. What if the next big thing is in the bit you're rejecting because you're off in this direction and it's sitting over here in a corner? Do you have a sense of doesn't matter? Famously, James Dyson was rejected by 3i, and they did a big piece of analysis afterwards saying, how did we miss him? Because that was really stupid of us. And they actually discovered that a lot of people would turn up as sort of mad inventors with stuff stuck together with sellotape. And at that point, when he came, he showed the profile of just like all the others. So they couldn't have told that he would be the one that got away.
Well,
so I'm really interested in how you deal with that issue.
The lens that we use is a strategic lens. And so we can always, engage with the company that got away from an investment perspective. And if it means that we have to come in and invest later in that company, that's okay. And if we miss some of the economics on the early days, that's fine. So we aren't optimizing on financial return. We're optimizing on strategic returns. So there's never anything that really gets away. In fact, there are times where a company is doing a round and we may say, listen, we aren't confident that we can actually engage with you, commercially or strategically, and therefore we're going to pass. And we'll come in on the next round, because at that point, we'll have a better idea as to whether we can actually have a successful relationship with the company. So the concept of the one that got away doesn't nag us as much as it would as if we were VCs with just a financial investment goal.
Exactly. I think that's so interesting, because this is designed to provoke the sort of, one of the things I think, and why I'm here today, that I think is most interesting about corporate venturing, is you've got this sort of capacity scale thing to make different decisions to the way a conventional venture capitalist would, where they would, if it got away, they really have lost it, because they're not allowed to invest at a later stage, for example. No. So I think that's a really interesting point. So could you just tell me which organisation you are?
I run the Ventures Fund for Capital One. It's a bank in the US.
Yeah. Okay, yeah, very interesting. Okay, so does anyone else have any experience of sort of too much deal flow and how they deal with it, and anything else they can contribute to team learning? Anyone else got to sort of where they have to process a lot of inquiries? No, it sounds like people think. So what about things like due diligence? So you've got through the stage of finding the deals. Perhaps, as you're being kind enough, sir, to contribute to the conversation, what is your experience of doing a diligence on a deal? Do you find it efficient and successful and easy, or do you find it difficult? Who's going to be brave? Somebody must. My friend in the blue shirt, would you like to come and join the conversation in the corner? Hello. That's all right. When you're doing due diligence, do you find it easy to do it, or do you find it long and cumbersome?
I love the due diligence. I love the due diligence bit. I think if it's a deal you're excited about, it should be joyful. Like you should do it. Like you should try and take and not painful. And I think you should deal with the pain points first. I call that keyhole surgery. So you pick up the 2 or 3 things that are the most painful things that are probably going to be the things why you don't want to do the deal, and you focus on those first, and the rest should be. And if you focus on that quick and fast, then the rest of the process is joyful. I think and also the time limits. The deals with, generally, I bet most people here are doing syndicated deals, so you can you should set yourself a reasonable time frame, right? It's like 4 weeks and 3 solid days or 5 solid days, that sort of thing. And do the keyhole, painful stuff first. Identify it first.
And how long, sir, is it, if you're doing a deal, I don't like to say an average because this is a very special and unique world, but are you typically taking from the point of starting the DD, you've got through the keyhole surgery, it's past that, how long is it taking you then to get the deal done? Because presumably it's joyful, you want to be married to them tomorrow.
I try to set it's always there's always many projects going on, but I'd say I clean end to end with legals 4 to 8 weeks. And by the way, that's an exception really. It usually ends up being 12 to 15 or whatever. But I think there's a few days worth of work. It's not weeks and weeks of work.
And you're investing quite early in where there's a constrained amount of stuff to diligence because so much is unknown, or are you playing with later stage stuff where there's more issues to think about?
A bit agnostic, but they're syndicated deals, so there's other investors involved, so you can take some comfort from that. But they're generally around the Series A sort of level. So.
Right. So you're relying on your fellow investors as well to do DD
I think their
as
presence is helpful. Yeah. So.
Interesting. So do you all have a perfect relationship with your fellow investors when you're doing deals? Is that now you as an industry have got it sorted? I hope you have.
No, I think
No?
I think there could be way more collaboration.
Okay.
Way more transparency. It's a challenge. It's a particular challenge among corporates in competitive sectors, and it's really myopic. It's not helping innovation. So particularly in adjacent corporate syndicated deals, I'd love to see more collaboration. So it's weird. It's collaboration, then there's still competition. So it just depends. There are sometimes when I think you've set up the deal, you're probably the key investor, and then there's lots of collaboration. But then there's other times when there's less collaboration. So it's a friend and enemy, frenemy type scenario. I'm sure everyone relates to that.
So how many? Let's take a quick audience vote. How many think that the whole syndication is a frenemy situation? Or do the rest of you say that, no, our fellow investors, they're dreamful and there's never any tension? What do you think? So can we have hands up who think my relationship with my co-investors is smooth and perfect at all times? Hands up. None of you think that. Okay, so half the time it's absolutely fine. Any hands up on that? Oh, half the time. Okay, so you guys all make sure you network on LinkedIn, okay? Because you guys are going to have a great time together. Okay, people who think actually it's only about 10% of the time, it's what I call a smooth and happy, joyful ride towards the permanent marriage that is an investment. Yes.
Oh, yeah. I think obviously there's hugely inherent conflicts between angel investors, early stage investors, and later stage investors, especially when the company starts to fail, valuations drop, then suddenly white knight appears, white knight washes everybody out. So I would like to see a world in which early stage and angel have a better ability to monetize, because I think essentially angel investing is probably something that's money destructive instead of value creative. I want to see, the few angel investors that are wildly successful. That's like winning in roulette. So I think there's something that we can figure out. Venture capital is a space which itself should be innovated on. And I think Vinay and I are here representing Media for Equity. That's an innovation on venture capital. But we can do so much more to make venture capital more effective and more powerful.
I certainly do. You know, just a quick aside, do you want to hear the best ever return? As some of you who might have heard of me, I spent a lot of time doing angel stuff. I own something called Angel News, and it's part of my other life. But so I know a lot of angels, I know a lot about angel investing. And what do you think is the best ever return of, you have to give cash amounts because I can't do maths anymore, but money in versus money out? The best story ever, someone I know put in £12,500. And quick audience thing, how much do you think they took off the table when they exited? 12.5 grand in as a startup.
10 million.
10 million. Some of you need to contribute to this because it's no fun if only one person answers. Right, this lady here, because she had the mistake of actually looking at me, what do you think he took off the table having put in £12,500? 5 million. Anything else? I mean, it might be.
Million.
How much? 20 million?
Million.
Okay.
100 million.
This guy, he knows what he's saying. 127 million, so not quite 500 million, but not a bad return on 12.5 grand. And no, pre-Bitcoin, it was all in the 1850s when we were all young. So you can get these staggering returns. But I agree with you, sir. One of the things I find staggering, having played in and around this whole, whether it's corporate venturing, angel investing, venture capitals, I don't care, is why we don't have a liquid secondary market. Surely, with the data around today, we should have managed to create a mechanism where people could get in and out of stuff more easily than currently. Why is there an assumption that you have to get stuck in something? And indeed, why is there an assumption that, you know, you can only get out, basically you've got to be penalised, it's a punishment if you want to leave? Because, you know, you were stupid enough to get in early and therefore we'll punish you for wanting to get out. I think that's something that could certainly be improved and the whole market would be more efficient. Do we agree? So I've no idea. I think I'm timed out. So I hope that's been an interesting little taster. If there is anyone in the room who is curious about what we can do to get rid of this whole idea so that corporate venturing is actually fit for the not just 21st century, but the 22nd century, I think there's a lot more to be done. I'm not saying it's bad now, but there's a lot more to be done in the future. If any of you are interested in having that debate with me and continuing it, please either find me on, what's it called? The app? Brella or LinkedIn. My name's quite unusual, there's only one of me, so hopefully you can find me quite easily, and I'd be love to sort of continue the conversation. Is that all right? Thank you very much, everybody. Have a great afternoon. Bye.